Entities are specially attracted to sexual substance. Many are addicted to the blissful state occurring during loss of substance, which entities feed upon. What man could use for himself is taken by entities. So the sexual substance itself is actually a very powerful energy. When that energy is cultivated, it then creates magnetic attraction. You become more attractive. You actually appear to look younger. You actually look younger, actually, matter of a fact. So let's go a bit deeper into understanding this frequency, because the entities actually resonate on the emotional body, the emotional plane of a lower frequency. Now, it's important to know this so we can transmute our mind into the refined and the more subtle energies which will attune us to a higher self. Here we go. Let's touch a bit deeper. Naturally, entities do not wish to discover how we are used for food. So they see us as food. Now, this is to feed an energy field. It's all to do with energy. So it has nothing to do with food in itself as a physical form, but as an energy substance. This is how it works on the emotional plane. So it's all to do with energy, light, frequencies, dream states. These are all forms of frequency on that dimensional level. Okay, so most human beings, if given real data on the subject, would ignore it or reject it. The small number of humans who begin to understand are in great danger. So those humans who are understanding what is really happening in terms of how this energy manifests, then they become in danger. Now, don't see this the wrong way, because you still learn, and then through that way you know how to deal with the energy frequency. The closer we come to real data of what feeds on organic life of Earth, the more danger to ourselves, to our work. So therefore means that what tends to happen when we become closer to the energy which rises us be above and connects us to the Earth, we then become in a form attacked by lower forms. Now, once we start dropping the vices, once we let go of the negative vibration and energy, then we then climb up the ladder, and then thus those vices die out, because they need to be fed with entities. They need to be fed, and if you don't feed them, then they begin to die, and then they can't use you as a thought form or that frequency to feed them. So here's the key: to keep your mind as pure as possible. So it's a constant fight of energy frequencies which is happening. This is why you see a person which has a lot of negative happening in their lives and someone with more positive happening in their lives. This is all based upon the relationship of energy, the relationship of frequency, the relationship between their minds and their lower minds. How that energy is transformed is based upon how one thinks and how one understands the vibration which is actually happening. Here we are. We must learn to keep our sexual substance and energies for our higher work, and work hard to prevent negative entities from sucking us dry. When we light a cigarette or pour ourselves a cup of coffee, drink beer, wine, or distilled alcohol, pop prescription narcotics, or partake of any habitual and addictive substance, we do this to feed some negative or other. So we are feeding a negative entity in a sense, because those frequencies that we are intaking vibrate on a lower frequency. This is why when you use Orgone, Orgone has the possibility to transform that frequency to higher force. It's so important to have these sorts of energy which can actually resonate and help you balance your auric field. You know, it's so vitally important. Now, even I myself always carry a scalar. Scalar is another form which actually balances the auric field. So, you know, the more you resonate to higher forces of frequency, the better it is for your actual energy body. You become more alive, you tend to be more balanced, you tend to sleep better, you tend to think better, you have a clearer state of awareness. All of these are actually the process of how higher forces of energy become in tune with you, because this is still alternative energy, alternative medicine. It's the new age, what people would call it. The age of Aquarius is about attuning yourself to the cosmos using frequencies which actually tune you in, which are less dense, such as heavy food. Lighter food is better. Being a vegan or vegetarian, or eating a diet which actually has a balance, which will maintain your physical body in a sense based upon the environment that you live in. Eating in relations to the elements has a connection to how you would operate in the right environment. So that's a very vital, important factor to understand, because switching automatically to a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet is dangerous. Understanding your body and working in relation to the element, what imbalanced elements are inside of you, then you're working with a process which will then transform you to a vegan or a vegetarian, and then beyond you can start eating based upon light energy frequencies. Let's identify how do we identify an entity. Here it is. The glazed look and blank hungry stare which comes over any addict suddenly deprived of their addiction is one way to recognize the presence of an entity. The only way to extract ourselves from the process of reciprocal feeding is the cold turkey method. That's the only way. By noticing that it's there, understanding that it's there, becoming aware that it's there, and just not feed it. Suffer in watching. Then it then begins to dissipate. Now we understand that Orgone is the orgasmic energy, which is the blissful state frequency 0-point reference of a higher nature, which is where we are resonating back to the meditative state of Buddha, the comprehension of understanding that the mind has to attune itself back to the 0-point reference, which is in a state of non-desireness and in a state of blissfulness, which is the real form of happiness. Self-awareness, self-realization. All of these are forms of higher wisdom, which one understands how one can be in touch with all elements, being able to sit on fire and not be burned, being able to being able to be hard like rock and meditate in a state of blissfulness without being cut or touched, being able to breathe inside the water without being affected by the water, being able to understand the air element and fly. These are dimensions which will take us beyond in the future, which we are revibrating to naturally. This is where we are coming to. A lot of people do not believe these things, but once they understand what Jesus was trying to teach, then they will comprehend what has been taken away from the mystery books, the Bible and all other books.